Look, Douglas, we have so much to talk about. First and foremost, what a win against USC at home. Give me your thoughts.
It was an entertaining win, and honestly, that's all I ever. Whenever I'm at one of these games, I just want it to be entertaining and preferably different. Different than I've been to enough games in this life. The different is an unusual occurrence. This was different. To see arguably the best quarterback in the country just completely melt down in the first half, that was different. And credit has to go to Notre Dame. Dialed up the defensive pressure. I think Marcus Freeman and Al Golden have been sitting on that game plan all year. They got burned by Caleb Williams last year, and I vividly remember after that press conference, Marcus Freeman was asked the same question twice, basically just praising Caleb Williams, and his response the second time was fair. Was just I already answered that. His answer was that's all I have to say about him. He wasn't being disrespectful, but you could just pick up this tone of I'm not getting beat like that again. And they had this ready. They spent some time this summer studying on how to dial it up on Caleb Williams, and that was what I was most interested by in what a win.
And you mentioned the first half, three interceptions. I mean, there were times when I thought, and I know Caleb Williams said this after the game, I made mistakes that I usually don't make, but I saw him throwing off the back foot against pressure. I mean, he's really trying to make things happen. And I was thinking, that doesn't seem like wise decision making. It was so out of left field. What do you think? What was the environment like that contributed to that? Because I know you go to a lot of games.
Each interception was worse than the one before. His third one to Benjamin Morrison, that was the type of throw you expect from a freshman quarterback, not a junior who's looking to be a top 2 NFL draft pick in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
The environment to me, it was less the environment and more Notre Dame was getting through that offensive line. I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame Stadium was church like quiet, but it was apprehensive that first half. It got loud later in the game, but that first half, that stadium was tense. It
Oh,
was not a rowdy environment. The pressure on Caleb Williams came from it wasn't one guy getting through the line. It was Javante Jean Baptiste getting through the line and Maris Leofau sealing the exit route.
yeah.
And that's where Notre Dame got burned last year, and that's where Caleb Williams excels. And when he didn't have that exit route anymore, he wasn't sure what to do. And it was the first mistake. I think the first one was tipped, and then it just got worse and worse. Like it wasn't all on him by any means, but it got worse and worse. He was trying to make too much happen, and there again, the credit has to go to Notre Dame's defense. The credit has to go to Xavier Watts, not only intercepting the ball, which Marcus
Yeah.
Freeman kind of called out afterward. We weren't just getting PBUs; we were capitalizing. He wasn't just intercepting the ball, though. He was setting up the offense.
Yeah.
Corey, you and I today, you had your playing days, but today we could have gone out there and had a scoring chance from the 2 yard line. I'm not saying we would have succeeded. We would have had a chance, and that was courtesy of Xavier Watts.
Out of three, yeah, I don't know. It was you and me together out of three chances. It's a tough coin toss up. But you're right. I was sitting there looking at, like the field position. I was going to ask you about 48 points against USC, a top 10 team. What did you think about the offense? But I mean, sure, field position is nice.
You got
It's
two
really
return
nice.
touchdowns, 2 touchdowns when you get the ball at the 2 and the 12. So let's just
I know.
take off 28 points, and that was 2020.
And that's what I wanted to ask you, Douglas, because I was thinking, like realistically, right? Let's just think about the offense the week before to this week. What improvements have you seen in it? Are you feeling more comfortable? Be honest with me.
I think this offense is going to continue to struggle. The good news is the rest of the schedule, Clemson is 4 games left. We feel like we're halfway through the season. We're two-thirds of the way through the season. Clemson aside, the other three opponents to close, Pittsburgh, Wake, and Stanford, are all pretty dismal. This
Mhm.
offense is not clicking. I think the stat I had this morning was in the first 4 games of the year, Notre Dame averaged 3.8 pass plays of 30 yards or more per game. They've got one per game in the last 4 weeks. That's not good enough, and it's not like explosive plays are not sustainable. You don't want to rely on them, but this offense has nothing at the moment, and in that respect, you can expect Pat Narduzzi in Pittsburgh to dial it up on Notre Dame's offensive line. USC's defense, let's not forget, it's terrible. USC's defense is objectively bad, and you can make a pretty reasonable argument that Notre Dame scored only 20 points, genuine points against that defense.